Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment.
The reality is that report, that part of the report, does not live in reality. It just doesn't. It is unacceptable, and it does not live in reality. That is just the facts.
Age is becoming a larger campaign issue in this year's presidential election due to that bombshell report on President Biden's handling of classified documents. In 2020, Biden was the oldest person to ever be elected president at age 78. The second oldest is his rival, former President Trump, who was 70 when he was inaugurated in 2017. Let's bring in board-certified neurologist Dr. Tom Pitts. Doc, welcome to the show. First, I want to say thank you for joining us because you are in Poland, you're on vacation, you just saw the Northern Lights, and you're making time for us this morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Now, I do want to mention you have not treated President Biden, but you have had dealt with patients of a certain age. What are some cognitive challenges that we can expect from anyone between the ages of 75 and 80?
Absolutely, Hena. The first thing I want to tell you is that I think it's important that we all make a distinction between word finding problems, which is one of the most common cognitive changes that does not have to be related to dementia. That can just be an age-related phenomenon. And then memory and confusional states, which are an entirely different thing, but they can masquerade as each other. If I'm speaking back to you abnormally, you may think I'm confused. So we can all expect, if we live long enough, to have some cognitive changes. And certainly one of the ways that can present is with word retrieval difficulties.
Okay, so let's talk about word retrieval. We saw the president refer to Sisi as the president of Mexico. He, of course, is the president of Egypt. I do want to bring up former President Trump confusing Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi. Is that common for someone their age? I know people younger than me who forget their keys or, may forget a name or two.
Well, the first thing I want to say is notice how close they are in context, right? He's not confused about where he is. He is understanding questions. It's just that when he answers it, what's happening is the next closest thing. When you cannot retrieve, you're going to go for the next closest thing. So, for example, he said, I believe it was like a red state and a green state. So he answered the question and he said a color. It just wasn't the right color. And that's less likely to be a memory or confusional issue.
So when do things like memory lapses, blurred speech, a little stuttering, a little stunting become a concern? Or when is it normal for a person that age?
Absolutely. When we do start to see it impair the actual outcome of the work. So let's say I was mute. If I could not speak at all, am I confused? No, not really, right? It's a linguistic issue. However, if you're also seeing that the job results, if he comes out and doesn't know he's at a press conference, is unsure what they're asking him, that's a much wider confusional cognitive issue, and there you have great concern.
In his last physical, President Biden's doctor says he's fit to execute the duties of a president. What would change that in his next physical?
Well, certainly, we're speaking from a medical, non-political point of view. So when we say, hey, is someone able to do their job? There's a big, wide berth in there, right? This is obviously a very complex job. So we're not talking about someone maintaining a job, let's say that's very repetitive or physical, because physical health can be very good in this state. But when you start to see things like, I'm not really understanding the question, I'm unable to execute the office. So let's say he goes to the doctor and we ask him very simple orientation questions and he doesn't know exactly where he is, why he's there, the time, things like that. It means that there's a wider cognitive dysfunction than just the language or word retrieval, and that would be concerning.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.